It's a big, stylish and luxurious SUV filled with technology. Isn't that the car everybody wants these days? It looks big and imposing, it has a massive grille, big wheels and lots of fake sporty styling and a light bar doing a dance. And it actually looks quite decent for a massive SUV, doesn't it? Inside you'd find the perfect cabin for an Instagram photo, lots of screens and lots of lights. But you can't deny the fact that the Audi Q8 has one of the most beautiful interiors during the night. The combination of the big touchscreens, the digital dials and the ambient lighting creates such an amazing atmosphere that you feel like you're driving in a spaceship. From the outside, the Q8 looks just as stunning with its matrix headlights and the light bar in the back, making it a car you definitely won't miss on the road. The Audi Q8 remains just as stylish during the day. You get massive grille in front, you get 22-inch wheels, and this car features the night edition, which features the black grille. You get tinted windows and more black trim on the windows, making the whole car looks very stealthy and very aggressive. The car looks very special on the road and definitely can be mistaken for the more boring looking Q7. The Audi Q8 was the first SUV coupe from the brand, which is a direct competitor to the BMW X6 and the Mercedes GLE coupe. Audi was the last brand to join the race of the SUV coupes, but with the great popularity of the new class, every brand is now trying to jump in. And here is the difference between the Audi Q7 and the Audi Q8. In the Q7 you have the more regular SUV end, and here you have this coupe line, which actually makes the car an SUV coupe. Of course, this isn't a real coupe because you have 4 doors, but it's a stylish element that all car brands use now, and Audi has managed to give the car this body style without sacrificing too much space from the rear seats or the boot, so the Q8 remains just as practical as the Q7, with having a more aggressive and more stylish body style. The back of the Audi Q8 remains just as stylish as the whole car, and you get this spoiler up here and this massive tail light, which is a light bar that connects and looks very beautiful. Unfortunately, since this is a diesel model, you get these fake exhausts which are not even remotely real, and the real exhausts are located under the car. But overall the back of the car looks really nice, but unfortunately the car doesn't sound very good. Now let's hear it. And now let's see how this Q8 drives. We're in the 50 TDI model, which unfortunately isn't a 5-liter diesel, but this is in fact the base spec 3-liter diesel with 286 horsepower. The first thing you gotta know about this car is that there is monstrous turbo lag. Now let me demonstrate to you. We're in the sportiest settings of the car in 3rd gear, and let me push the throttle all the way down. 1, 2, 3. It takes the car about 3 seconds to wake up and actually start moving, which is very bad if you want to drive sporty or if you want to do a fast maneuver. Now, if you choose the petrol engine, it gets a mild hybrid system which is supposed to eliminate this wag, but we would still advise you to go for the S and the RS models of the car. The S model has a V8, which is a diesel with 430 horsepower, and the RS Q8 has a V8 petrol engine with around 600 horsepower. Now, that's a really fast one. Just like every other non-sport Audi model, the steering is very light and there is zero connection to the road, but the car is actually very quiet, very comfortable, and the light steering actually fits very well in the overall style of the car. But what's surprising is that the Audi Q8 is actually not bad to drive at all in the bends. It doesn't roll too much and actually stays pretty stable, and you can actually drive it very fast. So there is kind of confusion between the car because it really doesn't make you want to drive it fast, but it's capable of it if you have to. Still, this is much more of a family and comfortable car than a sporty cruiser like the BMW X6 or, for example, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe. Higher in the rev range, the diesel is actually pretty torquey, and you can actually pull pretty well because you have almost 700 Newton meters of torque. And of course you get the Quattro system, which means plenty of grip even in bad road conditions, and the car actually feels pretty nimble, and you don't get too much of understeering, which is typical for Audis. Overall, the Q8 is a pretty good car to drive. It's relaxing, comfortable, and even though it's not the sportiest car of the bunch, it's not meant to be. It's a pretty good car to get you from point A to point B in a very relaxed manner, but it won't excite you and you won't go for a drive just for the sake of it. And even though most Audi Q8s will never go off-roading, it's good to know that the car is more than capable of getting in the mud. With the brilliant quattro system and the air suspension which can raise the Q8 pretty high, you have decent clearance and grip, meaning that you don't have to worry about when the road ends. The model we have here is the 50 TDI, and even though we have such a massive engine cover, this is in fact the smallest diesel you can get. The other engines are a 6-cylinder petrol engine with 333 horsepower. You also have the big V8 diesel, which is the SQ8, and the biggest V8 petrol, which is the RS Q8 with 605 horsepower. The Audi Q8 features one of the most beautiful and high-tech interiors we have ever been into, and unlike Tesla where you have just one big screen and nothing else, here Audi has managed to implement the big touch screens, a very luxurious and elegant atmosphere throughout the cabin. Here in the main multimedia screen you control the car functions, you have the navigation system, and here in the lower screen you have the climate control, and here you can change the drive selects and other option. Of course you don't have analog dials, and you have Audi's digital dash where you can see the map in full size and other driving information which you need during your drives. Overall, everything in the cabin is very much like every Audi, very high quality and feels very good to touch and use. And overall, this is honestly one of the best interiors during the day and during the night. The back of the Q8 is surprisingly roomy. Here we have so much space like you're in a limousine. I'm pretty tall, and just look how much knee space I have and how much headroom I have. And this is unlike the BMW X6 in the first generations, where an SUV coupe meant you have to sacrifice the rear space. In fact, here in the Q8 you have so much space that you won't even notice any difference between this and the Audi Q7. The only choice you have to make is between the body styles. Here you also get a separate 4-zone climate control, you get heated seats and all the necessary extras you're going to need for a comfortable journey. The Audi Q8 remains a very practical car as well. You get 605 liters of boot space, which is around what you get in a BMW X6 and the Mercedes GLE. The only problem is that the boot is pretty high, so if you want to load something you have to actually lift it from the ground pretty high in order to put it in the boot. You also get electric folded rear seats, which is very practical, and you get these cool LED strips which you can use to see what's inside the boot. The Audi Q8 is truly a car that everybody wants these days. Spacious, modern, luxurious and high-tech, while being comfortable and good to drive at the same time. No matter what your opinion is about the SUV coupes, it's hard to deny that the Audi have built an amazing car which truly does it all.